Will I ever give a genuine and useful explanation? So welcome to the end of week 3 of my Code Crew Code School journey. As a quick reminder, Code Crew is a 6-month intensive full stack computer programming bootcamp. And at the end of every week, I just record a quick little video to talk about the material that we went over and, kind of how I feel about the program, essentially. And I'm going to try to pop in a little, coding joke at the end of it. So we're just going to jump right in. This week we went over Python. We started Python on Friday after a full week of JavaScript. And I said in my last video that I liked JavaScript a little bit better after one day of Python, but that, I wasn't going to resist warming up to it. But after a week, I still really like JavaScript better. I think it's easier to read, and I just like it. But we did learn, some basics in Python this week, and something that was nice is that the concepts from JavaScript really easily transferred to Python. And that's something that our professors were kind of trying to, drill into us since the beginning of the program, is that it's not about being, fully proficient in several languages. It's about understanding the concepts, and being fully proficient in at least 2 languages, and, being able to transfer those concepts, across language and across syntax so that we could be, marketable developers, basically. So getting into the specifics of it, this week in Python we went over string formatting, which is pretty much just the way that you format your strings, but it's just how you, combine strings and variables and integers and things like that. And there are several ways to do it, and we finally learned the easiest way. We've been doing, or maybe not the easiest, but the neatest and the cleanest way. We've been doing just simple concatenating, to kind of understand the concept of this is a string, this is a variable, this is how you combine the 2 things. But we learned, the most recent way, which is, I don't remember the term, but it's just, you don't have to change things to other things. You don't have to turn integers into strings. You don't have to, separate things in special, complex ways. You can just put everything together and use curly brackets for variables, and it's awesome. So that was great, and that's going to be a really, useful skill. It's going to make writing and reading our code a little bit easier. We also moved on to data types. In JavaScript, we call them arrays. In Python, we're calling them lists. We also learned about dictionaries and tuples, and all of these are pretty much just ways to kind of store data into something else. So in Python, I think I used the example of it's like a PO box, and then you just put things into the boxes, as you have a big set of PO boxes, and then you're able to put things in the individual boxes. This is a very long-winded analogy, but it's just a way to store data, and we learned the syntax for that in Python, and as I said before, grasping that concept came a lot faster because we'd seen it before. We also learned about functions, again, something that we were familiar with. Syntax was different. Scope is a lot different in Python, so understanding that took a little bit more time, but still, a very necessary skill, a real basic of coding, and now we know it in 2 languages. Doing great so far. We also learned about classes and objects, and so I thought that classes and arrays were very similar, but they're pretty different. Classes, it's like a template, and then the object just uses the template to create an item in and of itself, whereas arrays or lists, that's the items in the array are in the array, So arrays are very much a thing that is one, and classes and objects are very much, separate things that rely on each other, basically. Will I ever give a genuine and useful explanation? So, those are the concepts that we went over, and like I said, the week went by a lot smoother just because everything that we were learning, we were at the very least familiar with, which was great. And something else that they did during the week to kind of help along with that was reviews. So last week we learned 2 brand new concepts every single day, which I loved because it was fast paced and it was interesting and it was challenging. But sometimes it was too challenging. And so this week we had a review in the morning, and then in the afternoon we learned a new subject or a new concept, and it made retaining the information a lot easier, in my opinion. And retaining the information is something that I've talked about, and I'm pretty sure every video, as being like my biggest fear, because we're moving so quickly. I'm just terrified that I'm going to forget everything that I've learned the week previous. And so to kind of combat that in combination with the review that we were having in class, I started a new study method where I would go home and I would write out some like pseudocode relating to the concept that we learned that day. And then I would annotate the code like meticulously. So I understood what every piece did. And so not only did it help me to just kind of hand write what we've been learning, because that helps me retain the information, and that, you know, everything's on the computer, so it's nice to have some handwritten notes. But it also helped me to understand the concepts more. So it wasn't just retaining it, but actually understanding it to a higher level. And this is the first week that I'd like genuinely studied, and it definitely showed. But this week was really good in my opinion. I've said that for every week, I think, which is good, and I hope to keep saying that at the end of every one of these videos. And I'm really surprised myself by how much I enjoy coding. When I came into this program, I wasn't doing it because I had a deep, passion for computer programming. I had no idea, what I was getting myself into. But I actually really like it, and I'm pretty good at it, at least at this basic stuff, which I think is a good start at the very least. And I can genuinely see myself, doing this as a career, which is not something that I expected, coming out of this. So week 3, it's going well. And as always, I'll be sure to keep you guys updated.